I think we can all agree these are some pretty unprecedented times for us. I mean, every 5 minutes we're turning the corner and there's some new horror that we hadn't anticipated that we get to worry about. I mean, first it's brush fires and a global pandemic, mass unemployment, and murder hornets came out of absolutely nowhere. And now it's a time of civil unrest and riots and protests. I mean, I think we can all agree that we just want to catch a break. Where is the peace? What exactly is this peace that we long for in our souls, in our hearts? Do we hope for maybe our circumstances to get easier so that we can live more comfortably? Or is it that we long for people to get along with one another and show mutual respect? Or do we just want some sort of emotional happiness for individuals and for the whole world? The problem, though, with all these visions of peace is that ultimately they're unattainable, at least for long stretches of time. We have to work so hard at at achieving and then maintaining peace that we can never really grasp it and hold on to it and enjoy it before it just falls away again. And it's really no wonder that peace is so difficult to find and hold on to in a world that is so utterly broken. I think we can all attest that the fight for peace is truly that. It's a fight. It's the road to peace is not peaceful. As a mother of a 9-month-old, I can tell you that trying to get her down to sleep is biggest fight you will face in parenthood, at least during these early months. It's like she can cry and scream and hyperventilate for even over an hour until she finally just lets go and allows herself to drift off. And then sometimes she'll wake up 10-15 minutes later and the whole process has to start over again, and it's an utter nightmare. I realized that using this example of the fight to get my daughter to sleep is a horrible, pitiful example when there's much more extreme battles raging for peace in the world right now. But nonetheless, the question is, how do we find lasting peace? A peace that we don't have to struggle or fight for. A peace that can be maintained. And will we experience this peace as individuals and as a country in our lifetimes? And I believe the answer is that we can. Jesus said, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart. And you will find rest for your souls, for my yoke is easy and my burden is light." All the drama and the stress of the world create a tremendous load that we have to carry like cattle bearing a heavy load. And pulling this load obviously makes us weak and tired. But we're being called to put down that load and go to one who can make it lighter for us. Jesus says, "Take my yoke upon you and learn from me." So a yoke is a wooden frame that's put on the backs of cattle that attaches them to the load that they're bearing. So I believe that when Jesus says, "My yoke is easy and my burden is light," he's essentially saying, hitch up with me and I will bear the weight so that you don't have to. The burden doesn't disappear. It's just that the weight disappears because someone else is bearing it. After all, Jesus completely overcame and bore the weight of sin on the cross. That brokenness of the world that weighs us down, he took off our shoulders and put onto his own in his dying and his rising again. In doing so, he made a way for us to live and live at peace, despite whatever horrible circumstances we might be facing, despite even death. Whatever we're going through, we give over to him and trust that he has dealt with it. The work has been completed on the cross. There's no problem that's too big for him and that he can't handle. We can harness real and lasting peace when we live out of this victory that Christ has won for us. Notice, though, that there's still work involved on our part. Jesus says that when we submit to his yoke, we must walk with him, we must learn from him. But contrary to normal labor, if we follow in Christ's ways, instead of being weakened and drained, we're filled up and strengthened. If you have never come to Jesus before, now is the opportune time to go to him, pour out all of your cares on him, because he is willing and able to deal with whatever you are going through. He gave his life to be able to relieve you of whatever burdens you're bearing, to help you through any circumstance that you might be facing. If you already know Jesus, it's time to make sure you are still yoked with him. Do we experience rest right now, even during the most turbulent and disastrous times? Are we allowing him and trusting him to carry the weight that we're bearing? So I'm sorry to say, I don't ever envision everybody getting along and having mutual respect for each other. It would be fantastic, and it's something that we should work for, but ultimately unattainable or maintainable in a broken world. And I would really love for myself and for everyone I know to just have all of their problems melt away, and all of their cares just lifted. But I live in reality. And searching for worldly peace is like chasing after the wind. There's only one way to real and lasting peace, and that is through Jesus. His is a peace that exists despite despair, despite turmoil, despite disaster. And it's a peace that we don't have to fight for or struggle for. We simply take it on as we get to know and love our Savior. So may the Lord's peace be with you.